Good morning. Happy Friday. My name is Michael Leeserman here with the Trial Guide's Tip of the Day. It's July 14th, 2023. Today's tip comes from Show the Brief by Bill Bailey. Bill is here today. Thanks for being here, Bill. And your brother is here too to add some words or taunt or whatever brothers do. Robert, thanks for being here. You both have written another book together, Show the Story. So appreciate you both taking the time. Bill, could you read our tip today, please?
I sure can. Thanks, Michael. Briefs that use visual analogies and metaphors are better able to bridge the gap between the details of your argument and what the judge knows from prior experience. What is the mental model of reality you're trying to communicate to the judge? What well-understood object or concept will help explain something that's less familiar in your case?
So visual analogies, I certainly understand using the images themselves. Can you give us an example of a visual analogy and how that can help?
I can. And this, part of what I've done, leaving a 40-year career trying cases, going to teach young people about how to do it, is I've done a lot of research, the things I did not have time to do before. I have appeared on the doorstep of many other faculties at the University of Washington, the psychology department, the communications department, the theater's arts department, the neuroscience department. I have darkened lots of doorsteps trying to find information to answer some of these questions. And one of the things that comes up in teaching science, I teach a class called forensics, is teaching by analogy now. If you start, and Robert and I in Show the Brief talk about this principle, if you attach something that's familiar with your audience to some new information, if you couple those together, they go, aha, I get it. But if you just try to explain the unfamiliar with words, they're not going to get it. So I'll give you an example. I had a horrific construction accident case that was like right out of Edgar Allan Poe, The Pit and the Pendulum. My client was nearly beheaded in an elevator, in an old freight elevator that the owner and developer of this project in Seattle knew was dangerous because it had been inspected and written up over and over again. But this is what this property developer was doing. To save the 20% they would have to pay to a general contractor on the job, they created a dummy corporation that they controlled. So they paid themselves the 20%. So there was no safety officer on deck. So my opponent files a summary judgment brief that I was trying to pierce the corporate veil and go after the fat cats that were doing this project because this phony corporation had no assets. So this is boring. This is dry, corporate stuff. Judges don't like it. Writing the brief was a drag. So I'm thinking, what's an analogy that I can come up with here that's just going to break through all this? Well, as my brother will attribute, our mother hated it when we brought out the Monopoly board. Oh, boys, please, no, not Monopoly. I can't take the bloodshed that happens. But so it was a fraught part of our youth. And I thought of the chance card, the banker with the silk top hat on, making repairs on the roof. So I show up in Judge Canova's courtroom and I have a big blow up of the Monopoly card of the banker fixing the roof. And I said, Your Honor, I filed the long brief here, but this is what it comes down to. These guys were trying to save the 20%, do it yourself, and my client paid the price by nearly getting decapitated with multiple head injuries, brain injury, etc. When the judge saw that, I've never seen a judge try so hard to suppress a laugh. And it wasn't he was laughing at me, he was laughing at my opponent. And so there were no questions asked of me. I sat down. He peppered my opponent with lots of questions. And then as soon as my opponent sat down, he said, I'm done. I am the motion. So using a visual analogy, a Monopoly card. And by the way, I tried to get Parker Brothers to give me permission to put this and show the brief. Those money grubbers wouldn't let me do it. So I just have to describe the story in there without the Monopoly card. But hopefully that makes sense, Mike.
It does. Thank you for giving that example. And so, Robert, any thing to add to the any taunts? Did you win Monopoly, or anything to add to Bill's
No, I was
wisdom?
traumatized by Monopoly. I haven't played since, but metaphors are powerful tools. Symbols are powerful tools. And a story, a vignette, can be a very powerful tool, whether it begins a brief, because a judge is not going to expect you to begin a brief with a story that immediately takes them into the story. And it's very powerful for a jury. And I'll say this very succinctly. Years ago, I had an asbestos case. And one of the frames or the themes was that management knew the asbestos was harmful and they did not communicate it to their workers in conditions that they knew were harmful. So when I learned this little mini story, which is so simple, but it carries as a metaphor, as a symbol, the entire case. So what I learned was a manager was going through the workers' lunchroom, and he walked over to the bulletin board and he saw a worker had posted a news clipping about the dangers of asbestos and how it can be harmful in factories like the one they were all working in. What does that manager do? He rips off the workers' bulletin board and carries it out of the room so no other workers can see it, and then calls in this worker and gives him a really hard time and chastises him for putting that kind of a clipping on a board.
Wow.
That act by itself was the entire metaphor for the case, the hiding of information so others did not know and could not make the choice to take care of their own health based on what they knew.
I love that, because no matter how big the choice, evil the choice, it's hard sometimes for people to get their minds around that. And by giving a specific action, tearing it off the bulletin board, it really stands for something much bigger. So that's a wonderful example. Thank you for your example. Thank you, Bill, for your example. Thank you both for being here today.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Let's take a deep breath together and be grateful to be alive this Friday. May the work that we do today help to reduce suffering in the world. May it help repair the world. May we fiercely and compassionately advocate for our clients. May we do so from a place of compassion and wisdom. I'm going to ring a bell 3 times now. This can take you into a meditation practice, a prayer practice, or just let the sound wash over you and remind you, it's Friday. Wake up, go out, do good things, and have fun while you're doing it.